truck you'll see him in every time he hits the road. It's agile, mechanically relentless, and perfectly suited for unforgiving terrain. But he never travels alone. When he's on the move, he is flanked by a ghost fleet of identical trucks. On long highway routes, the convoy is led by police gendarmerie motorcycles. These are followed by other identical Land Cruisers packed with soldiers. Traore's car is positioned right in the middle, making it incredibly difficult for an attacker to identify exactly which vehicle he is in. They are frequently accompanied by heavy combat vehicles, ready to initiate a firefight immediately if ambushed. You can clearly see how these vehicles are sequenced when he entered the Sangoulay-La Mezana Stadium in 2026. Identical decoy vehicles enter first, right before his own rolls in. When he does step out into the open, Traore travels inside a suffocating security bubble. Soldiers physically blanket every angle to ensure a clear line of sight to the president is impossible. Look at this crowd interaction. Notice the heavily armed, masked operators forming a human shield wall around him. They leave only his head visible. Even if a shooter tried, a bullet couldn't easily reach him unless they shot from above, and local terrorist cells don't have air power. You can spot the exact bodyguard who is always with Traore. Even in Russia, this guy was by his side, clearly one of his most trusted personnel. Some people online even joke that he looks like Thomas Sankara. Let me know what you think of him in the comments. After traveling a long distance on a normal road, when the convoy enters a destination like the stadium shown in our video, the identical escort cars enter first. Then Traore follows, preceded by 5 horses, one taking the absolute lead, and the other 4 riding 2 by 2. Behind Traore, there are typically 3 more identical cars on patrol before black SUVs appear. In one clip, you can see 12 military horsemen trailing the iconic Land Cruiser. You might wonder, why horses in Burkina? They are viewed as highly respected companions. The myth traces back to the 12th century and the Mossi people, the country's largest ethnic group. According to legend, Princess Yeninga escaped on her horse to marry a hunter, leading to the creation of the Mossi kingdom. Today, horses serve as a cornerstone of national identity and history. They represent nobility and power, they're embedded in the nation's coat of arms. The national football team is named the Stallions, and the top prize at their film festival is the Golden Stallion. In fact, the most common name for boys, Ouedraogo, literally translates to stallion in the Moray language. Back to the convoy. Traore is standing in the Toyota, greeting the crowd. In a mass gathering like this, disaster can strike in a heartbeat. But Traore doesn't put himself in danger blindly. Now, look closely at the roof of Traore's Land Cruiser. That is no standard factory sheet metal. Notice the sheer thickness of that circular hatch lid the operator is gripping. It is built like a bank vault door. Mechanically, you cannot bolt a heavy ballistic hatch onto a standard truck roof without the cabin buckling. That raised base it sits on is a massive structural reinforcement ring engineered to bear the load. When flipped open, that thick steel instantly becomes a hardened gun shield guarding Traore's back. The curved shape is a deliberate deflection design meant to glance off high-velocity rifle rounds. Standing exposed from the waist up is the most vulnerable position a leader can take, making this wraparound armor a necessity for his survival. While we can't see through the metal, standard VIP doctrine suggests this cabin is a fully enclosed ballistic capsule. Burkina officials haven't released the technical specs, but the visual evidence is clear. This roof is engineered to stop bullets. Face masked, standing guard over the hatch in desert tiger stripe camouflage. Look at the weapon in his hands. That is a heavily modernized AK platform assault rifle. Look at that polymer stock and the curved magazine feeding 7.62 by 39mm rounds. He is holding it in a tight patrol grip, ready to go violent in under a second if this convoy takes fire. When you drop your eyes lower, front left, that soldier in the red beret, dark tactical glasses locked straight ahead. Trust me, he's not wearing those just to look cool. Those are Traore's long-range eyes, scanning the crowd, reading movement, catching threats before they become problems. In close protection doctrine, his job is to see everything the principal cannot. And right now, behind those lenses, he is seeing everything. Now look at the operator walking on the ground, his face completely covered. This is not for intimidation, it is strict operational security. By hiding his face, he protects his identity and his family from targeted reprisals. He ceases to be a person and becomes a pure, anonymous function of security, which makes him incredibly dangerous. If you look closely at his left arm, you'll spot a bright neon green band. In a massive, chaotic crowd pressing in on Traore, that is an IFF tag, identification, friend or foe. If a sudden threat emerges, these security teams need to recognize each other in a fraction of a second. That simple green band is how they ensure they don't accidentally shoot their own guys in the crossfire while securing Traore. And there are spies in the crowd. Notice these two men walking side by side wearing faso danfani, not a military uniform. These are not ordinary civilians. I'll get back to them in a second. First, look at this object hovering just above the crowd from left to right. This is a small, general-purpose drone providing an immediate, low-altitude overwatch camera. It is feeding a live, high-definition, bird's-eye view of the crowd directly back to the convoy's security commander. Once the public appearance ends, Traore sits back inside and his commandos quickly seal the roof. These two men side by side wearing traditional faso danfani, the Burkinabe equivalent of the Western suit. These are Burkina's covert intelligence agents, functioning exactly like the US Secret Service. They are seamlessly embedded inside the military commandos. When Traore exits the vehicle, watch how the agent abruptly opens and closes the door to minimize exposure time. They shadow his every step and physically carve paths for him through the chaos. Even when Traore is seated, they are constantly working the room, scanning for anomalies. When you step back and look at the geometry of the entire scene centered directly around Traore, you are looking at three deliberate, layered rings of protection an attacker must violently breach to reach him. The operators on the vehicle forming the inner ring, the tactical ground troops in the middle ring, and the ceremonial guards serving as a distraction on the outer wall. It is a moving fortress. And the second Traore drops back inside